It is another week of Tampa Bay Buccaneers football, meaning we have yet again another injury report to go over. This is per Greg Auman of The Athletic, and it is for the Buccaneers Week 6 matchup versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Firstly, tight end Cameron Brate was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. He is still dealing with a concussion that he had sustained all the way back in Week 4. He did not play in Week 5. Seems like he's getting more and more closer to being able to play, possibly starting as soon as this upcoming game versus the Steelers. Jaelon Darden did not participate in Wednesday's practice due to a tooth injury. Now, there was no clarification given after practice as to whether or not it was a lost tooth, a chipped tooth, possibly even just a dental procedure. Whatever the reasoning may have been, Jaelon Darden did not practice on Wednesday due to a tooth injury. Hey, thoughts are with the young man here with this tooth injury. It is always a crappy thing to go through whenever you have teeth injuries and things along those lines. So, hey, hopefully he is able to rest up and recover soon. Carlton Davis was a full participant in practice on Wednesday with a hip injury. Mike Edwards was a limited participant in practice due to an elbow injury. Now, Edwards had sustained this injury in the Week 5 game versus the Atlanta Falcons. I do not remember specifically if he was or wasn't able to finish the game or not. You also have Logan Ryan, who is dealing with some injury stuff. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Keanu Neal may get some more snaps moving forward with Edwards and Ryan both dealing with injuries still. Also, Antoine Winfield Jr. is still very, very important, and maybe we'll see maybe a guy like Nolan Turner get elevated to the active roster at some point. He is currently on the Buccaneers practice squad. We'll have to wait and see. Russell Gage did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to an ankle injury, and this sucks. I mean, I am so tired of seeing Gage on the injury report, and I don't mean it to say that it's Gage's fault or anything. I just hate seeing this guy constantly hurt, and Gage has been hurt basically ever since the season started. I don't remember an injury report that has not had Russell Gage on it. So I feel really, really bad for the guy. He's been dealing with ankle injuries. That is the current injury he is dealing with. He's been dealing with hamstring injuries going all the way back to training camp. I just wish Gage could get fully healthy just so the guy can, finally go out there and showcase what he can do. I still think that Gage is a really, really good player to have on your football team, but man, oh man, he has been dealing with so many nagging injuries throughout this first bit of the season. It just sucks to see. Hopefully Gage can get healthy too. Speaking of guys who have been on the injury report seemingly every single week, Chris Godwin was a limited participant with hip and knee injuries in practice on Wednesday. Now, Godwin hasn't been on the injury report throughout the entirety of this season. I believe there was maybe a couple of days here and there. I think even last week he wasn't on the injury report throughout the entirety of the week. But again, you got to feel for Godwin here. You really hope that he can get healthy soon. He's been dealing with so many different types of knee and hip type of ailments and whatnot. Hopefully he can get better soon. The fact that he was a limited participant today, I feel like showcases a pretty decent chance of him being available in the Pittsburgh Steelers matchup. But obviously with all of these, we will have to wait and see. Akeem Hicks did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to a foot injury. He's still recovering from that. Should be good in maybe a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a little bit sooner than that. Keep an eye on that because Akeem Hicks obviously coming back would be a big boost to the Buccaneers front seven. Julio Jones did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to a knee injury. This one is also an incredibly unfortunate situation. I feel like Jones really has not played since week 1. I think he played a little bit at some point, either in the Green Bay Packers game or the New Orleans Saints game, something along those lines, maybe even a little bit in the Falcons game. In fact, I don't even think he played in the Falcons game, but I do know that he played a little bit after the Cowboys game, but after that, he has also been on the injury report week in and week out, and it's just a really unfortunate thing to see. A lot of people were very excited, very hyped up about the Julio Jones injury, and whenever we talked about that signing, whenever it was made, we talked about, hey, can Julio Jones stay healthy? And so far up to this point, unfortunately, he can't, which stinks because Jones, I feel like, still can be a good wide receiver. He's just got to heal up soon. And the Buccaneers have said they have been very precautionary with Jones and his recovery time, but you also want to see the guy get out there as well and continue to build up that chemistry with Tom Brady, and he is needed in the wide receiver room. So Julio Jones did not participate. Sean Murphy-Bunting did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to a quad injury. SMB has been playing a little bit more in the cornerback room with injuries to guys like Carlton Davis, who's been dealing with some nagging injuries of his own. SMB's had to step in and get some playing time in those situations. He's had an interception this year, which was good, but now he is also dealing with injuries of his own. Very, very unfortunate. Carl Nassib did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to an illness. Hopefully he is feeling better, resting up, and should be able to possibly play by Sunday. Finally, just a couple of more guys here. Breshad Perriman with a knee and hamstring injury was a full participant in practice on Wednesday. That is good for the overall depth of the Buccaneers wide receiver room. Breshad Perriman would be a welcomed depth addition back, especially considering you have Jaelon Darden, you have Russell Gage, and Chris Godwin, and Julio Jones, all dealing with injuries. It just seems like guys are swapping out in that wide receiver room whenever they are dealing with injuries. So Perriman being a full participant is a very, very welcome thing to see. Logan Ryan did not participate in practice on Wednesday due to a foot injury, the same foot injury that knocked him out of last week's game versus the Falcons. Again, in the case, similarly to Mike Edwards, Keanu Neal should get some more snaps moving forward, and hopefully Logan Ryan can be ready at some point. There hasn't necessarily been a ton of momentum, I guess I should say, or confidence from the coaching staff that, Ryan should be, ready to go soon for the Bucs. So we'll just have to wait and see with that. And then finally, Donovan Smith was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice with an elbow injury. Smith has been playing through a lot of pain. He's still had that brace on his arm, and he's definitely still dealing with that elbow injury that he had sustained in week 1 versus the Cowboys, but he's fighting through it. He's able to get in some of this work and play in games, which is always a good thing to see. Hopefully Smith can recover as well. But folks, these have been some very long injury reports, mainly at the wide receiver position. I mean, my goodness, this team seems to have the injury bug at the wide receiver room, but all in all, wish for all these guys to get healthy as soon as they possibly can and be able to participate in some of these matchups coming up, starting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you all enjoyed. And I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.